Hey Taurus, and welcome into your February 2025 reading. This is for Aquarius season, but we'll go for the whole month of February as well, and we may overlap a little bit. All information to work with me one-on-one is below. That will be where my website is. That's where payment options are. That's where the Patreon link is below as well, where you can find all of the free readings as well as the extended. So we get deeper into the cards that I pull here at this time. In the second part on Patreon, so you can go there if you'd like a deeper look into your month and season ahead. All right, Taurus. Today, in effect, has Venus moving into Aries, as well as Jupiter going direct after quite a bit amount of time in retrograde in Gemini. So for Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, just know that whoever Gemini is in your chart for risings, it will be like, depending on how complex or easy your chart is, it will be mostly the second house. So, and then we had Uranus in your sign, Sun, Moon, Rising go direct last week. So there is a lot of astrology to talk about as well, but we're going to get into the intuitive here because that is what your reading is also calling for in this moment. You may have to notice something that has been a long-term habit, a long-term comfort, because they can go hand in hand, but not always, that has actually affected your way of thinking, maybe the way that your brain evolves. And all of a sudden, any blocks that you've been feeling between your heart and your mind or your intuition, something has happened, something is happening or about to occur, where you are able to emotionally support whatever it is that you're feeling in a way that is intuitive, in a way that is bringing to fruition some things you've needed validation on, but it's coming from your own source. You're not looking externally. You're not going to find it. It's finding you. So even if other people are validating you, you're not asking directly. You just so happen to hear or come in on a conversation, or you have a conversation, all of a sudden it takes this turn and things, or you watch a video. Whatever it is, there's something deeply validating at this time, and it may be something that you might want to start speaking about with more power, meaning in more of an authentic way. That the supporting features of this time is that you can do and take whatever you have on your table and add something new to it, add a new sauce, right? Like you could make a similar meal, have a different sauce, or use similar ingredients, have a different sauce, or have a way of going about making that meal, and it can be a completely different thing. So I know you love food. That's why we're talking about food, and I'm like super into luxurious food right now. So whatever that means to you. And it would be really important to voice some of these things that you've been sensing, feeling, whether it's for like in your own career, like it doesn't have to be with friends, right? You may just naturally find yourself gravitated to people who are more highly intuitive. It just makes it more easy and you learn more in that way. But this is just about sharing your voice too, especially if you're a Taurus rising and Gemini has Jupiter and Gemini has gone direct, where no matter where it falls right now and where it will progress into, for the most part, it's in your second house. So it's sharing your skills and your resources, anything that you feel highly talented in or that you've been closet talented in, right? That you might want to throughout the course of the month. This is very much throughout the course of the month. Like you're learning something and you're integrating it. You've gotten some answers, you're integrating. And for some people, it's just like a switch, but for you, this is throughout the course of the month. You will realize that like you'll get so much, the more that you pay attention to being validated through your intuition, the more likely you'll feel inspired or act on it quicker and quicker, especially because Venus has gone into Aries at this time. So it wants to act quicker, it wants to move a little quicker. Then Venus is like as a Venusian sign than you're really used to. It's a little bit more risque. And if it's Taurus risings, it is in your 12th house. So it could be things out of nowhere. It could just feel like an impulse and an act of your subconscious, but it leads you somewhere. And that's the whole point, is letting yourself kind of take more of this journey this month, allowing yourself to be even surprised by yourself. Because there's also some things going on with your 11th house, but we're going to see what comes out next. Some of you might take the approach of being more internal for a while, and then towards the end of the month, you begin to speak out more directly on the things that you've been thinking about, or you've been in progression with shifting or changing in your life. And, you know, you're in one of those modes where you don't want to share too much. Like, you're just like, from the outside looking in, it's just normal Taurus life, but really you're going about, you know, shifting a lot. So we have Temperance, Justice, 8 of Cups, 5 of Wands. This is breaking free, freedom, freedom, freedom. But what does freedom come with? What does this time, this balance of both your mind and your emotions come with? It comes with maybe having to move on, leave behind, especially emotionally for those of you. Because you've been kind of putting it in your way. Like, there's been like, even if things are good and have been good for a while, like, but there still always has been this, or there still has been this touch of like nervous energy, or you're doing too much and you don't realize that it's coming out in agitation, or it's coming out in drama, or it's coming out in all of this like this different areas of your life. And if you just allowed yourself to let go a little bit more, especially in the realm of how you think, in the realms of one-on-one relationship, if this is Venus coming in to your 12th house, but shining a light on your 6th house, or anywhere in like your one-on-one relationships as well, right? Or how this affects your money. You may, in work, in love, you may want to take this approach here of whatever it is that you're feeling is important and valid, and the more that you express it to yourself, it is important and valid, so that you can take the observation, because you're being shown where you're kind of being baited almost, or that really helpful part of you that is very calm, cool, and collected, and can take, you know, the brunt of the matter on whenever, because you're always ready. You're finally realizing how that's been playing against you and your evolution and your growth. And I think for a long time, Taurus will clock it as I'm lazy, or it's like being overindulgent, or into a point of like inertia. And those are the words very much just used to describe the negative aspects of Taurus. But with Uranus in your sign, you've been getting jolts of energy, especially to the nervous system, which you can use, you know, for your positive journey, right? But it also will show you in your life where you need to revolutionize, where things need to be updated. And in order for you to grow in the aspects in which you want to grow, especially using your intuition, eventually you're going to have to see things, even if it's very difficult. And I think you know that, but maybe you weren't expecting this. Especially in your workplace, a lot of you, it has to do with your health. Especially if these 2 cards, Sagittarius represents the hips. It's ruled by Jupiter. We'd already talked about Jupiter. That's the liver and the hips. This is like very detailed. And then we have Libra. And this is stuff we usually get into the second part, but I think for Tauruses who need to hear this, basically, if you need to go to the doctor, you need to go see someone for these areas, your hips, your liver, because that could be like, if you're into Chinese medicine, that could be very helpful of knowing. And hips are about moving forward. And then or if you're like moving too much, if your hips are like too loose and you actually need some structure, right? You have to look at both oppositions. And then we have Libra and Venus, and that's like, that can be the ovaries or the very feminine areas of the body. So, and also the kidneys, which is ancestral. And I have another take on that as well, on energy. And I think because I'm bringing it up here, I'll make sure we talk about it in the second part, where like generational things can also be because you're in close proximity and your energy's kind of, as we know, we can take on other people's shit. And I think you've, as much as you are known and can be known not to move on things, you do something that Venusian signs do. And as a double dosage of them, I really do know this, that people will think nothing's changing on the outside and you won't see, huge parts of progress. And then all of a sudden, you've been working so diligently behind the scenes, you've been, listening to yourself, doing what you need to do, addressing what you need to address, and all of a sudden you make that last right divine moment move or change, right, in your life, and then boom, 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 everything falls into place. Does that stay like that? Well, yeah, for certain periods, because you still have to adjust your life into that domino effect. But here, it looks more like an opposition. It will be a little bit more uncomfortable in the body. You'll notice like this is just out of place, and it's not because you're always craving comfort. It's just that that this served its purpose, this person served its purpose, this job served its purpose, and now it's time to shift. Or this way of looking at my health, right? This way of thinking, your mental health, this way of receiving money was helpful, and now you want to make changes in those areas of your life, and you're being supported to do so, maybe pushed almost. Your intuition also, if you're a Taurus who is already knows that being in the body is super important. If you're not, I highly recommend, I'm probably going to be telling everyone to just start stretching, start moving your body in a way where you can listen to it. Even if you have something stimulating outside of you, right? Like, do your life the way you want, but like getting in touch with how your body is talking to you and speaking to you is so important for your sign especially. So that is also what could be speaking to you, that maybe you get very in tune with yourself on a level where you know that it's no one else's voice or no one else's programming. You can feel the energy. You can feel your intuition pulling you into places and guiding you into directions. And this is even when we get to the point where we have to make a certain decision, because for some people it's not changing jobs, it's not changing courses, it's changing an aspect of it or adding something, right? Whatever that looks like for you, there's just more of an emotional detachment. And that gives you a break, that gives you more space. You didn't realize that sometimes we think we have no time. It's because certain things are being held in certain areas, right? And other times we are avoiding it. Other times it's because we're ready for something new. It really just depends on the relationship. And that's huge with Libra and what Libra has taught us, and especially, for you in your life, any aspects that that doesn't seem like you anymore, right? This is also about moving on in areas where you've cared too much, but it's caused like a problem, or it's caused codependency, or it's caused you to question your worth, right? Anyone or anything in your life that makes you question your worth, that's a huge example of when to take your power back, of like, no, you don't get that. You don't get that opportunity. Sorry, my voice. And at this time, it doesn't matter who it is or how much you love the person, how close you are with the person. This is about just like you having complete sovereignty and understanding. I just need on my face for a second. This complete sovereignty and understanding that your energy is very important, and it's only fair to you right now that you take care of that even more, that you realize this is something that maybe was passed down to you, you absorbed, you thought it was right for you, the right direction for you to go in, because so many have done it before you, but really you're the one to break through. You're the one that's not supposed to do it. You're the one who's supposed to set your own pace, your own tone, your own way. of life. And if that separates you a little bit more, I think for those of you who this really hits, like that really makes sense for you. That is the balance. That's how you equal out anywhere that you've been overcompensating, because it's gonna become very apparent. It will weigh heavily on your mind until you address it, right? You've been going back and forth, and for a while being in between, that's been what you've been learning. No big deal. In between the worlds, high priestess, right? You've been doing that thing, and now all of this stuff moving into the very physical aspect of Aries, even though the subconscious is not physical, it shows up physically, but you can't like touch it. You can't touch your shadow, right? You can feel it, you can see it, you can't really touch it. It's not like there. And it's become very physical, right? It's being embodied through Aries. So that's not, the Venus transit isn't the only, and because it's going to go retrograde here, it's going to spend some time in and out of Aries. We're also going to have other planets moving into Aries. So it's a lot about embodying it. It's not just about, maybe and being there's a little less passiveness is basically what I'm trying to get to, and more, okay, like this is coming to me. I don't have to let it come all the way. Do I want to say no? Do I want to say yes? It's not just going to stay, right? It's you needing to actually make physical decisions, right? It's about turning that hypothetical into the physical, and you'll be asked a whole bunch of questions. And based off where your worth is, we have another 8 here. You'll see, and we'll get into all of these actually, because this is also Mars. You'll see what's been driving you and what you really care about. You're going to get stripped down to, even if you're working on things, it's fine, keep working on them, because it's possibly that it's actually helping the healing process, and you're going to be putting everything you learn into whatever you're doing or creating or moving forward with physically. So during this process, right, you're going to be stripped down to see what you really care about. Maybe you already feel in touch with it, but you're still going to get like a very soulful level of it, because you'll also see, you'll see how your community has evolved. You'll see how your luck around other people has also evolved at this time as well. And finally feeling like this part of you, the reason why it could be happening now, right, is that the astrology and everything that you've worked on with your free will as well up until this point, you may realize that you deeply desire a community where you feel safe here, and maybe you're already in it. Maybe you're starting to develop it. Maybe you've already been and now you've gone back. Whatever that is, the timing is now that it's going to deepen and expand your awareness of what this could be. So having an open-ended conversation with what community can look like and how that is, because it's Pisces for Taurus risings, you may feel, for Taurus risings especially, it doesn't have to be Taurus sun or moon, but you'll still feel this, that it wants to, because that's the energy of Taurus, right? It's all connected. You may want to deepen or more ethereal or more healing, be in more healing environments, or you may find yourself around Pisces, or while you draw Pisces in, that could be one of the things too. But either way, this is about connecting yourself to your true sense of worth right now, and where you have stopped yourself and been looping, and now you can see like very physically what this looks like, what this appears as, and how you can learn to communicate differently, and the changes if you want to make them, right? The learning to follow this evolution, be a part of this evolution, has to do with connecting your worth to your intuition more than ever. And you may have amazing ideas about relating emotions to to others, right, in relationship. Like, this is the reason why I think I'm emphasizing this very specific sentiment and why this stands out as a very specific thing, situation, person, and the relationship with yourself this month is because whatever you're learning right now is going to be a massive part of your career and how your career evolves. And I do believe that, and I want more than ever for the cards for me to read the cards is like this High Priestess, Queen of Pentacles is really important. We'll also get into Sagittarius and Libra if there's a Sag or a Libra in your life as well. They could be very important factors to where you're at right now, and could be very supportive in whatever ways that you may need at this time. Yeah, so support in a lot of ways, from your very close relationships to your work relationships, wherever that meets in between and beyond, will be very clear to you too. Where you stand, where you want to stand, where you want people to stand, all of that jazz will happen and show up in your life as well at some points this month, but especially highlighted with how work affects your health for the better or worse. All right, Taurus, we're going to get right into the second part, which will be in the link below, where we get into more in depth into the cards for the rest of the month and season. We'll see you in Pisces season.